Muriel Donawa McDavidson, a fiery, flamboyant, outspoken politician. She was a bold, dominant figure among the female politicians of her time. She was born Muriel Olympia to John, a union worker, and Therese Donawa in San Fernando on December 12, 1929. As a child, Muriel followed her father around during his years of marching with the Union and campaigning in San Fernando. Looking back, her siblings felt she was destined for a political career of her own.
I guess what motivated her, I believe, is my father. You know, being the first child and she into politics and was hearing, you know, this talk about politics. So she decided to go into politics. So while she was at Texaco, she was a councillor at the Borough Council, San Fernando Borough Council.
He was the motivator in the politics, you know, because at one stage she was his campaign manager.
Well, we would believe that he had some influence, and to some extent it may have been a natural thing because she was always sort of community-oriented.
A newspaper article on Dr. Eric Williams and the Caribbean Commission in the early 1950s played a decisive role in her future and led to her involvement in the People's National Movement, the PNM. She aligned herself to Dr. Williams almost as soon as he returned from England in 1954 and encouraged him to educate the people of Trinidad and Tobago rather than lecture to small groups of people overseas. Muriel was among the first group of people to join the PNM.
Yeah, from the time the PNM came into being, that was her intention to be a politician from then on, you know, to be a politician for life. That she never thought about anything else besides politics. She eat and dream politics. That was her life. That was her mainstay, politics. I don't think she was thinking of any other thing besides politics.
She worked hard and tirelessly with Isabel Tichet to form the Women's League of the party. In 1956, she replaced Gerard Montano on the San Fernando Borough Council. 2 years later, she carved a place in history by polling the highest number of votes in a municipal election when she won the laissez-faire seat.
She was the representative of Faizabad for 5 years. I know she did a lot for Faizabad. And she was proud that, you know, she went in there, she won Faizabad, which was a very hard seat to win. And she won it twice. And then going into Lavantil, you know, she went in there, the Lavantil people, you know, they love her, you know, she could have interacted with the Lavantil people.
She fought seats in South Trinidad, winning 4 terms as a parliamentary representative, punctuated by 1 term as senator. As she worked her way to the title of one of the longest-serving members of parliament, she held a number of different portfolios spanning 2 prime ministers. Her best contribution to the country was in the Ministry of Community Development, where she intervened to successfully remove duties and taxes on local publications. Mrs. McConnell gives an insight into how she operated.
Go directly to the people, it didn't matter. She would go in the sports field, she will go by the corner and talk to the youth. She will just go anywhere. If it takes her to the rum shop, she will go there. She will talk. She just had a natural ease of dealing with it. She operated an open door policy. People would come to her home any hour of the day, any hour of the night, and she would entertain them. She would listen to what they have to say. If they needed something and she can find it, she will give them. If she didn't have it, she will get on the phone and call somebody to ensure that that person got what they wanted. People would come to her for jobs, and she would, most times before the person leave, they had a lead to her job because she would get on that phone and call. If it takes 12 people to call and explain the person's situation, and most times, by the time the person left her home, they would have a job or her office.
Her political career spanned the victorious years of the PNM, where she was undoubtedly the most flamboyant of her female colleagues. Her style was colorful. She blended modern wear with African and Indian.
Yeah, she always loved to dress with her hair well done up, a high heel, and she loved to step. And everywhere she go, she have to get this new dress, this new outfit, to go out. And she loved to go to the hairdresser. How am I looking? She'll ask you how she's looking, and she'll go out there, step proud.
Religion played a very important role in Muriel's life, and at one point, she almost joined the Carmelite sisters.
She originally intended to enter the religious life. She was supposed to go into the nunnery. But about a week before her date for entry into the nunnery, she got up speaking a different language.
She had some calling which we could not understand, where she was speaking in strange languages which we couldn't understand and didn't know what it was. Only to understand it was Arabic that she started speaking, and from there I think she went and she joined the Muslim faith. From
that experience that she became a Muslim at the age of 17.
Since then she has been a practicing Muslim until death.
In 1965, she secretly married Oswald McDavidson under Muslim rites. They did not have any children. Muriel's political fortunes reached an all-time low following the PNM's 33-3 defeat by the NAR.
Things happened to her, particularly coming down to the latter part of her political life. One significant thing that I think affected her really badly was her experience with the coup. Because she was the only member of the PNM party in the Red House at that time. Maurice Marshall did not go, and the Prime Minister left at tea time. And so she ended up being the only one there. Sometime during the period that the Muslims were in the parliament, she was able to get away. And she ran from the Red House through the square, Woodford Square, and into the City Hall with one shoe on and one shoe off. And that was from a woman over 60 years old, right? And she said somebody even shouted in the square, "Is that Muriel Donawa?" And she said, "Who named that?" Right? So she spent a few days in City Hall, and she left because she used to take some medication that she needed to take every day, and against advice she asked to leave, and even after insisting, they organized a vehicle for her to come home. However, when the vehicle got around the savannah, it was one of the estate police vehicles. The vehicle was shot at. We don't know if the shot was meant for her or what. One of the estate policemen got shot in that attempted whatever shooting. She again jumped out of the vehicle and ran through Marley Street and stopped off at somebody's home, and the person let her in, and she spent a few days there again before going home. The other terrible part of it all is at the end of the coup, it was discovered that her chauffeur was killed. He was the last person to be found, but it appeared as though he was the first person to be shot because they found his body under the steps in the Abercrombie Street.
In 1991, after major disagreements with the political leader Patrick Manning, she bitterly severed ties with the PNM.
She was not the type of person you could put in a corner. She will not go in a corner. She will battle and battle. Sometimes she became very deeply wounded, but it did not deter her battle.
For a while after that, she dabbled in the insurance industry, then migrated to London after her mother's death. On her return to Trinidad, she would not restrain her political inclinations and joined the UNC, the United National Congress.
I know I was disappointed with, what she doing, that She was one of the founders, you know, what PNM have done. We grew up in a PNM family, and you know.
I think after the coup, she was never really herself, you know.
Basdeo Pandey encouraged her to contest one more general election. She agreed to challenge Patrick Manning for the San Fernando East seat, but that was not to be. Her campaign was cut short by her failing health. At the age of 71, she succumbed to bone cancer. Her death marked the end of a political era.
Her whole life was politics. She talked politics.
She was a family person, you know, and I don't think she had an enemy. Not that I know of, you know. Politics was her life. She just loved it.
Muriel Donawa McDavidson was laid to rest on January 19, 2001 at the Rudal Cemetery, San Fernando, under full Muslim rites, a short distance away from her childhood home.